What's up, everyone? This is James bringing you another deck profile for the Menards Club, youtube.com. This is going to be the Towa Ultimate deck profile that I know a lot of you have been waiting for. It took me a while to get this profile together just because there was a lot of testing that had to go into this leader. She's really wide open. And this is definitely not the only version of the deck you can play. This is just kind of the version that we landed on that kind of meshed with our playstyle. Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways you can take her. This is going to be more of a mid-rangey toolbox variant of the deck, so if you like decks that can have a lot of options from the same position, you'll definitely be enjoying this profile for sure. Before I get into the video, make sure if you're new to hit that subscribe button so you can keep seeing more free Dragon Ball Super content like this one, lots of good budget deck profiles like this one, as well as meta deck profiles, rogue decks, homebrews, that kind of stuff. And hit the like button if you end up liking this video, gives you an idea for your deck list or whatever. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the rest of the profile here. My GoPro's trying to fall off the table. Let's just get that fixed right now. Alright, beautiful. So, Towa. What's Towa do? So, she's got this great permanent where she treats Dark Broly cards with original energy cost 9 or less in your hand, and non-black battle cards with Xeno in their character names, and original energy cost 9 or less, as if they have no specified cost, and you reduce their energy cost by 1. So, what this boils down to, it's essentially like you have the Bobbity from the Agent of Destruction deck in your leader area, because it turns all of the battle cards in your deck into, you don't have to care about the specified cost of them, and they cost 1 less. So, it's just absolutely crazy, the amount of utility she provides you. It's absolutely stunning. It's kind of wordy in the way that it's referring to the battle cards, but if everything else in the deck is a qualifier for this. If you play Cell Xeno in the deck, spoiler alert, we're not playing the secret rare in this deck because I wanted to keep it more of a budget deck profile, but you can definitely play that, and it will not affect that, unfortunately, because it is, or maybe fortunately, because it is not cost 9 or less, so that's why she's worded in that specific way. She has this awesome auto on attack, just draw a card and take up to 1 life, so she self-awakens, as fast as you please. It's just like the old yellow Broly promo leader. It's one of the better on-attack abilities that you can have as a leader, and she has it. So then she has untap 1, draw 1 when your life's at 4 or less, no alternate awakening ability. Then on the back, she has the same permanent, and then when she attacks, you draw 1, she gets plus 5k power for the turn, so just a 20k beater that draws a card on the back. And once per turn, when one of your Dark Broly cards or your Xeno battle cards is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, you draw a card. So it punishes the opponent for removing your sticky battle cards using skills. And you just get card advantage back. So that's really good. And you'll see as we get into the profile, a lot of our battle cards are really sticky and hard to deal with, even through combat. So then, if they want to remove it through a skill, you also get cards back. So that's really good. Alright, so we're going to start with the easy stuff here. This is pretty typical for pretty much every Towa deck. We've got 4 of the Lord Slug, the Shadow Warrior, so this guy's just cost 2, but remember, everything in the deck costs 1 less, essentially. And it does reduce the specified cost, because she treats them as if they have no specified cost. So this is specified yellow, but you will end up only paying 1 for it, since she's in your leader area. He's unique, so you can only have 1 in play, and he's a blocker, which is important for his next skill, which is an auto. You pay 1. When he dies, you can search your deck for a 9-cost Lord Slug Xeno from your deck and put it directly into play. So you get to turn your 1-cost into a 9-cost, which is crazy good. And he's a blocker, so he sets that up on his own. And if for whatever reason your opponent's dumb and kills it, you can just pay 1. So you'll generally be playing this out on turn 2 with an energy up, and then block whatever your opponent does, pop him, then go into Daddy Slug, who's going to be coming up right here. 3 Daddy Slug. See, we just play 3 because he is a multicolor, so he's really clunky for your energy if you ever have to charge him. You never want to have to charge him, so just 3. We do have ways to put him back into the deck to be grabbed by Lord Slug, the Shadow Warrior. He can EX evolve onto a Lord Slug Xeno with energy cost of 2, so if you do draw him, if you draw like these 2 together and you don't have any left in your deck, you can just Xeno evolve on top of him and draw a card, which is okay. But the real way we're getting him in is with this. So we get a 9-drop into play. So he is a blocker. He is unique, so you can only have 1 in play. Most of the cards in this deck are unique, you'll notice. He's a blocker, and then he has an auto once per turn. When it KOs an opponent's battle card or activates its blocker skill, you switch it to active mode. So you can either chew through an opponent's battle card and restand it. It's a 25k, so it's huge. It's probably going to kill whatever it's attacking on. Or if you block with it, you get to essentially block with it again if they don't kill it through combat. So, incredibly strong. It also has this ability that punishes your opponent if they kill it by a skill, because it's a 25k, so it's hard to deal with. So it's removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill. You choose up to one card in your opponent's hand and up to one of their battle cards, place them in the drop area, and then you choose one of their unisons and remove 2 markers from it. So it just completely wrecks your opponent if they try to kill it through a skill. Your opponent's almost never going to try and kill this through a skill if they know what your card does. Maybe they didn't read your card and you get to do that, but it's pretty much just saying you can't remove this through a skill unless you want to be completely screwed over. So, really sticky battle card, double blocker, 25k, really good. Coming up next, we've got another easy card. This is an easy inclusion, Majin Buu, the Shadow Warrior. This is going to be your turn 3 play pretty much every time. So he's also unique. He's got Barrier, which is fantastic, 20k. Auto once per turn. When it's played, you look at up to 7 cards from the top of your deck, and you can play a Dark Broly or a Xeno battle card with cost 9 or less from among them, and put it into play. Not even put it in your hand, you put it directly into play. So, while this is a little expensive at 3 energy, it gets you a 9 cost or less into play for free from the top 7 cards of your deck, so absolutely fantastic. He also has an auto once per turn if it's in rest mode. If your opponent attacks your leader, they have to pitch 2. So it's kind of like a pseudo-deadly defender where they can still attack your leader, but they're going to get punished once per turn if they want to do that, and they have to pitch 2 for the privilege. So he's really good and really good in tandem with this guy, because if your opponent tries to swing on this to stop having to pitch 2, like they want to kill it through combat, then you go, okay, block, and he's bigger, and then you can restand him and block again for him. So you get this kind of wall getting built up. All right, so now we're going to go into the good targets for this guy. So we've got 4 of Lord Slug Out of Control. This is the best one to find off of him because he is a triple strike. And then while he's in rest mode, your opponent can't attack, is it any other card? He can't attack your leaders or unisons. So essentially, if you get this into play and this into play, it's just this big wall that's hard for your opponent to deal with. It's really sticky. If they try and kill him through skills, you get to draw a card if you're awakened. He's also a triple strike, which is a big deal when you're a 25k. Like, your opponent has to negate this attack every turn or risk huge damage to their life. This is the best target for the Majin Buu, and that's why we play 4 of them, but we do have a couple of backup ones just to help with redundancy. And also, you might want this at different spots in the game. This is Turtle's Chaotic Rampage. This is an uncommon from set 12. So he's a critical double strike. He has this EX evolve, which doesn't come up because we don't have the card in which it can evolve, but and it has an auto for when it evolves, but it also has an auto on attack. You can combo with a green battle card from your drop area. So he becomes a 30k critical double strike for free, essentially, every time it swings. So incredible pressure. This is a really good aggro option for the deck. And, you know, I'm not going to sneeze at getting a free one of these into play if I whiff on finding one of these. So between the 6 of these, it's pretty easy to see one off of your Buu. So that's kind of your Buu package here. Main beaters of the deck, for sure. You want to be turning those sideways every turn of the game. Alright, so now we've got 4 Towa Rewriting History. So this is from the expansion set that came out just before the Ultimate deck dropped. This card's crazy good. It's a 1 energy cost. When you play it, you search your deck for a Dark Dragon Ball, put it into your hand, or from your deck or your drop area. So you +1 as soon as you play it. It's like you get to draw a card, essentially. And then you also have an Activate main once per turn. Pay 2. If you have 3 or more energy, so note you can't do this on turn 2, you have to do it when you have 3 energy. You can pay 2, pitch a Dark Dragon Ball, which you found with this, easy, or if you naturally drew one, you can do that too. Pitch a Dark Dragon Ball, search your deck for, let's see, so it finds a Dark Broly or a non-black battle card with Xeno in its character name, and an energy cost 4 or less from your deck, and puts it from your deck or hand and puts it into play. So this essentially lets you pay 2 to get a 4-cost card into play. You're generally going to be finding Buu off of this, but we do have another couple of sweet targets for this. This is kind of the main toolbox of the deck, because it can tutor a bunch of different battle cards into play. It's incredibly strong. It's also a 1-cost black card, so you can get it back with Power Burst, which we are also playing, and then play it again, get another Dragon Ball. It's just crazy good. Alright, so our next target for that is Lord Slug Dark Parasite. So when this guy's played, he's a 20k, first of all, pretty beefy beater. And then if your opponent has 3 or more energy when he's played, your opponent has to either KO one of their unisons they have in play, or you wipe their board and both players draw a card. So they get to choose, which is not the best, but it's so brutally punishing. And if they don't have a unison in play, they can't choose, they just get their board wiped. So Either they have to have a Unison in play, or you can just tutor this into play and wipe their board. It's absolutely crazy. It's so good. We play 3, just because this is one of those cards you will actually put into play multiple times, because you can, like, play it and wipe their Unison, and then if they don't have a Unison for the next turn, then you can just play it and they don't have a choice and wipe their board. Next target for our Towa toolbox is actually 3 of this Dark Broly, the Shadow Warrior, and this card is actually reasonable to hardcast on its own as well, because it's only costs 1 with your leader. It's a unique 15k, activate main, pay 1. If your opponent has 3 or more energy, you add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, so you get a little bit of Self-Awakening, then you play up to 1 Dark Broly card with energy cost 6 or 7 from your deck on top of it in active mode, then shuffle your deck and you can't play Dark Broly cards for the rest of the turn. So this gives you a toolbox on top of your toolbox, so you can find him with Towa if you want, and then swing with him, because it doesn't put the card into play in active mode, then pay 1 more, because you'll have to have 3 energy for this anyway, and then you will be able to grab one of your Dark Brolys, which I will show off what we've got right here. So we've got one of the 7-drop from the deck, one of the 6-drop, which also came with the Ultimate deck, and then one of the SR from set 11. This is the most expensive card in the deck. You can get by without it if it's out of your budget, because the rest of the deck is incredibly affordable, but I would look for one of these if you can, if you want to put this deck together, because it's really nice to have the guaranteed removal from this guy. So this guy lets you remove a battle card from their drop, and I think from their hand. Send 1 battle card from your opponent's drop area to their warp, then your opponent chooses 1 card from their hand and discards it. So you get a little bit of graveyard hate, as well as a little bit of hand control when you play this one. So if they have a good thing in their drop area you want to get rid of, like I guess not Master Roshi Kamehameha Origins anymore, rest in peace Master Roshi, but, you know, if they have like a Draw Goku, or, you know, there's so much stuff that interacts out of the drop now that, you know, this is a really nice thing to be able to tutor up on a dime. This guy will pop a battle card, and then this guy kind of does both, but your opponent gets to choose whether they do that or crit a life. So if you're wanting to play an even cheaper version of the deck, because this card's like 25-30 bucks, and definitely it costs as much as the rest of the deck, basically. You can play another one of these. I just like that this doesn't give the opponent the option. So if there's a battle card you have to remove, like you really, really want to get it out of play, then this will do it. No fuss, no muss. This gives the opponent a choice. But it can hit graveyard, hand, and field, or crit a life. So that's also incredible. And this can also EX Evolve if you draw it on top of this, whereas the rest of these are just kind of stuck in your hand unless you have your Unison. So, stuff to keep in mind. That's our little Broly package. Alright, now we got our Unison. Only 3 of them, because they're not the most useful. We don't really have any Unison payoffs. Like, we don't have any free counters or free negates or anything. So we're just playing 3, because we don't have to have a Unison in play. It is a nice little early drop, though, and it helps you fix your hand, because you can choose a Dark Broly or a Xeno with 9 cost or less from your hand, or drop area, put it on the bottom of your deck, and then if you put 1 from your hand, you draw 1. So if you, like, open with one of these, or like one of these, or any of the stuff you want to grab from your deck, like the Lord Slug, any of this stuff you want in your deck, this guy will just put it back in, and if you put it from your hand, you draw a card. So that's nice. He also has this auto -3. If your leader's a Towa and you have 4 or more energy at the start of your main phase, you choose up to 3 non-black battle cards with energy cost 3 or less and Xeno in their character name and or Dark Broly from your deck or hand, and play them, then shuffle your deck. So this doesn't come up super often, because it has to start the turn with 3 energy, with 3 markers on it to -3, and it only finds 2 cost or less. I guess it finds costs 3 or less, but we don't have anything that costs 3 in this deck. They're all 2 costs, so all you can find are like the Slug 2 and the Broly 2, so it's not the most, it doesn't have the most impact. So we're mostly just using it for this filtering to help set our deck back up and filter our hand. He is useful, though. Alright, now we got our blue package, so I am playing Senzu Bean. I'm playing Senzu Bean, but I'm not playing the Janemba package like a lot of people do. We're playing a very lean blue count, so you might end up having to charge the Senzu Bean as one of your blues to turn on the other ones, but that's perfectly fine. I also have the rest of the blue package here, which is 2 of the Janemba Negate. And then these are our Dark Dragon Balls we tutor with Towa. So none of the Dark Dragon Balls have any function in the deck. The colored ones, at least, have any function in the deck, outside of just being pitches for Towa. Or combo power. So I went with the blue one, because then you can use these as extra blue sources for your Senzu Bean. And then I have 2 of this Janemba negate, which is 1 cost essentially with the leader. Negates the attack, and then your opponent can't, if they attacked with a leader, they can't attack with leaders for the turn. So this is kind of a narrow card in application. All it really hits is leaders that attack multiple times, like, you know, Zamasu from set 10 and Reboot Gohan, obviously, if you're playing best of 3. But it's still a 15k negate on a stick. 90% of the time you're just charging this for a blue energy, but I have this in here because it's tutorable off of our Dark Dragon Balls, the extra card here, which I'll just pull up right now. It's a tutorable card that you can grab off of your effects that charges for blue. So if you need to fix for blue energy, you can grab this, and it's really easy. And it has utility as an extra little negate. Our battle cards are all really sticky and defensive, so we don't always need a negate, but, you know, just having one on deck is really nice, so that's why we have that. Senzu Bean pairs incredibly well with all of our defensive walls. Like, putting this on, like, the Slug 9 cost or the Buu or the Slug 6 cost, too, is just absolutely stupid, and it also increases your aggro potential, so it's Senzu Bean, you know, what are you going to do? Dark Dragon Ball is a cantrip, essentially. It's a 0 cost. You can only play 1 per turn, and then when you play it, you look at the top 7 cards of your deck, and you grab a Dark Broly or a Xeno with cost 9 or less, and put it into your hand. It can also grab your Unison, notably, because it can grab the Dark Shenron. A Unison with 16k power. So it can also grab your Unison, which is another reason why we only play 3, is because it's pretty easy to find one if we need one. We are playing 4. It can clunk a little bit, but, you know, you just want to kind of play 1 every turn because there's absolutely no reason not to. It's just a consistency card, so really, really nice. And then we're getting to the end of the deck here. We've got 2 copies of Power Burst. Extra defensive piece. If your opponent can answer your board, you want to have this on deck, or, you know, you can just use it to grab back a Towa to get card advantage. And then we have our super combos, which this is the most exciting we can get in black with colored energy. So that's the deck profile, guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think about it. It's not the most out there build of the deck for sure. It's pretty conservative in what it's doing. The spiciest, quote spiciest, it's not that spicy, it's just like the Senzu Bean package, but let me know what you guys think, or if you guys have other approaches to the deck, because there's so many ways to build it. It's absolutely crazy. Again, hit that subscribe button if you're new and you want to see more content like this. You want to see some battles with this deck, or other decks. I'm always posting profiles and gameplays and stuff. So, yeah, and I'll be back in the rest of the video to show you the play guide for the deck, so stay tuned. Alright guys, welcome back to the play guide. I'm just going to start off with the mulligan, and then I'll go through the first couple of turn sequences to help you guys get started with the deck if you're new to the game or the deck in general. This is a very good deck to start with to practice the game if you're a new player, because it's incredibly cheap to build, and it's relatively straightforward in its game plan. Some of the cards are a little wordy, but once you understand what the effects do, it's pretty easy to pick the deck up. So, but I'll just go through the mulligan decision and then the first couple of turns here. So, mulligans, the number one thing you want to see is a thing to do in the first couple of turns. You really want to have this guy in your opener because he's your best turn 2. And you can also run him out on turn 1 if you're in a matchup where they can't really interact with your 1-drop very effectively, because if they can kill it before you have an energy up, then it sucks, because you can't pay the 1. But if it's a matchup like, you know, like against like Mono Blue or something where they can't really do anything about this, like worst case, they'll put it back to your hand. You can just run this out on turn 1. Otherwise, Towa's really, really nice to open with because she just goes ahead, grabs you a free card, a free Dragon Ball, to start the game with, and then she'll just sit in play ready for that turn 3 to start using her ability. And having multiple Towas isn't bad either, because it's just free cards every time you play her. Opening with a Dark Dragon Ball is nice because it starts getting your chain going. You can only activate 1 per turn. So you ideally will be playing 1 per turn the whole game, basically. Every turn you have one, at least. And it just helps fix your hands, help you get these pieces that you're missing. It can't grab Towa, unfortunately, but it can grab everything else. So opening with a Dark Dragon Ball is nice. If you have more than 1, you can just go ahead and ship those because they are dead in multiples on the same turn, and you don't want to get caught with a really clunky hand with extra cards that don't do anything. Because if you open with like 2 and then you end up drawing another one down like in the first 2 turns, then you ended up drawing another brick until the turn after that. So that can be really slow. So 1 is really nice to have. You can ship extras. So those are nice to open with. Buu is nice to have on deck. It's better in general to play him off of the Towa just because it's more energy efficient. but having one in your hand as a guaranteed turn 3 play in case they kill the Towa is nice. So if you open with a Buu, I'd generally keep a Buu. Dark Shenron's also really nice to have in the opener, but not like he's not the most important piece. He's just nice to help fix your hand if you end up drawing Clunk later on. So these are all nice cards to open with. Main thing you really want to see in the opener is Lord Slug the Shadow Warrior or a Dark Dragon Balls to help you find one, and then Towa and Buu, and then kind of Shenron's kind of the lowest priority thing. Having a blue card is also nice, because it gives you a guaranteed source for Senzu Bean, because Senzu Bean's the only card in the deck where you have to care about the specified energy cost, so you do have to get a blue charged at some point. However, it's also not the most important thing to have to mulligan for, because you're not going to use your beans super early in this deck. You're mostly going to be using them defensively on turn 3+, which gives you a lot of turns to tutor up either a Janemba off of a Dark Dragon Ball, or just find a Dragon Ball off your Towa, or just draw one, or just draw multiple Senzu Beans and charge one. So lowest priority is the blue in the opener for the Senzu Bean, but hey, if you open like this, that's probably just like the perfect opener right there, right? So the main thing is, if you're in a matchup that is, you're gonna want to start using your beans early to help you live, like against like a really wide 15k spam deck, like King Piccolo or something, you might want to prioritize the blue in the opener a little heavier. But for the most part, the mulligan's pretty straightforward. You just want something to do on turn 1 and turn 2. And then turn 3+, you generally have enough consistency tools to find plays to make on those turns, so not super important there. If you open... This is the stuff you want to ship if you open with it. Any of the stuff you grab from your deck, just ship this. This is the easiest ship to do. Because all of these primarily work out of your deck, so you don't want them in your hand. Dark Broly the Shadow Warrior can be okay, but he's not active until your opponent has 3 energy, so you don't need him. And your leader self-awakens, so you don't need the self-awaken. You'll eventually, after 4 swings with Towa, you'll get to awaken. So yeah, turn 1, I feel like I kind of walked through it already with the mulligan decision. So turn 1, you'll want to draw, if you have a Dark Dragon Ball, after you charge, just jam the Dark Dragon Ball to figure out what you need. And then you can jam Lord Slug if it's a matchup where they can't deal with it. But if it's against like green or red, I would hold off on it until turn 2. Just to make sure that they can't kill it with a card like a Frieza's Death Ball, or any kind of shocking Death Ball, any kind of shenanigans before you can get that second energy charge. And then you can also lead off with Towa. It's less of a big deal if they pop your Towa, because it's not a huge tempo loss, because it's only a 1-drop, and you get a card off of it just for playing it, so you're still getting your cards up. And then Dark Shenron is also a fine turn 1. So any of these are fine on turn 1. Lord Slug, the lowest kind of fine. It just depends. This is the matchup dependent one. These ones are always fine on turn 1. Turn 2, if you didn't play Slug on 1, play Slug on 2 with an energy up and pass. And then if you did play Slug on 1, you can play one of these, but you still want to make sure you have an energy up to tap for that. So the turn 1, turn 2 is pretty straightforward. It's a combination of these, as well as an energy to leave up with this. So that's turn 1, turn 2. Turn 3 is where you start getting branching paths on what you can do. So if your Towa's in play, you can start by using it to grab... Where are my Boos? To grab, if you don't have a Buu and you don't want any of the board wipes or the Brolys, or like any of the toolbox stuff, this is just your good card to grab. You can grab Buu. Buu will ideally dig 7 and grab a Lord Slug or a Turles, which is pretty good odds of 6 of in your top 7. And then your board's pretty much set up. So let's see. So if you grabbed, say if the game plan's working like it's supposed to, say you... Let's just rewind here. I'm being a little confusing, sorry. So if the game plan's working like it's supposed to, let's say you played, Towa on 1, or Dark Shenron, doesn't really matter. Turn 2 Slug, it died, you get your Slug out. You'll have one of these out. And then on turn 3, you can either hardcast a Buu or tutor for Buu with Towa, doesn't really matter. Buu will grab either Slug or Turles, and then this will be your board. One of these two, and these. So this is an incredibly good defensive wall, because you'll put the Buu into rest mode, you'll put this into rest mode. And then, so if they attack your leader, they have to pitch 2. They can't attack your leader till they deal with this, so they have to deal with this first. Then after they deal with this, if they're successful, they have to pitch 2 to go at your leader. And then you can also have the option to block out of 2 attacks, potentially, with this. So that's the kind of the turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 play of the deck. You want to get set up the first couple of turns, and then turn 3 is when you start putting the pressure on, get your big chonkers out. And then turn 4 plus is just kind of the world's your oyster. You just kind of tutor into play whatever you need, toolboxes you see fit, and that's the part where the deck starts getting a little more interesting, I'll say, because you have to start making a lot more play decisions based on the matchup and how the game's going. So yeah, that's the deck, guys. Make sure to hit the like button, the subscribe button, comment down below if you have questions or suggestions or anything like that. Let us know. I love hearing from you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.